Tim Priester from Keenan Memorial Stadium in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, joined by Tim O'Malley. And Tim, we've analyzed this game for 2 weeks now, and we know that Notre Dame has a superior defense over North Carolina, and ultimately that should trump everything in the outcome of this game. But more news on Notre Dame's offensive line. We were talking about Notre Dame's 6th and 7th linemen being in the game. It may be their 7th and 8th. Not sure exactly what the status of Josh Lugg is at right guard. He's been battling injuries, not just this week, throughout the season. It'll probably be a game time decision between him and Dylan Gibbons at right guard.
And that can be rough because as much as Gibbons played well in the run game, filling in for Florida State when he went to left guard, he's been a left guard for a few years from every viewing we've ever had. So he'll have to pop over to the right side if Lugg can't go, or if Lugg can't go at some point, or in a 75 snap game, maybe that's more snaps this game at some point, simply because Lugg can't keep on going. So there's a challenge in that your eighth line. If you're at your 8th lineman, your offensive line can be a little different. It's no longer an excuse; it's the truth.
I've got to admit, it's just sitting here now. I'm not sure who number 9 is.
Yes,
I know who some of the candidates are, but let's move beyond that because, as I mentioned, I mean that Notre Dame does have the superior defense, and as apprehensive as I think a lot of Notre Dame fans are with regard to North Carolina and their offense, which is spectacular, but has done that against a lot of bad defenses, no doubt. But they've got weapons at every skill position on offense, and Notre Dame's defense has to come through in a critical game, and I doubt very much whether North Carolina's will.
Yeah, I'm curious to see if Notre Dame's corners and Sean Crawford especially can hold up for 4 quarters against Howell and that passing attack. But I'm also curious to see if North Carolina has felt anything like what Notre Dame brings defensively, because you talk about teams holding to certain point totals and losing to Virginia, or how did this team hold to 27? They didn't get hit in those games like they're going to get hit against Notre Dame, or would get hit against Clemson or against some of those top teams. And if Clemson felt it, I have to feel that North Carolina has not felt Notre Dame's defense. And I firmly believe, Tim, that week off was just gigantic for rest for Clark Lee's unit, and I would have picked them to lose had they had to play 6 days after Boston College.
No, I hear what you're saying, Tim, and the combination of power and speed that Notre Dame brings defensively is something that North Carolina has not seen. Brian Kelly basically admitted during the week that the number one goal is to limit the running game of Javonte Williams and Michael Carter. That's difficult to do, but we've seen many times where when Clark Lee focuses on it, plus the 13 days of preparation or the 2 weeks of preparation, you got to feel like Notre Dame. We talk about the numbers for North Carolina, how many points they're going to score. You got to dial that back because this is the Notre Dame defense.
Yeah, and I think we talked about this pregame. It's important to note that Notre Dame's offense is going to have a good day, and we can be confident in that because Ian Book is playing how we envisioned him playing to start the season when he was a 5th-year senior returner, where we were both extremely high on him. The last 2 games he's been outstanding, and it's I got to believe Brian Kelly. It's probably because his receivers have really been helping him as well. Ben Skoranek, Javon McKinley, and Avery Davis are suddenly weapons. I made the comment, I don't know whether you have to believe it or not, but I was like, at least one of those receivers isn't out, that Notre Dame's down to their 8th lineman possibly, because they are playing so well. I think they can continue that trend today.
From Keenan Memorial Stadium, it's number 2 Notre Dame at number 19 North Carolina.